Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
Welcome back to Angel on Top. Just a few announcements before we get into Redefinition.
We have significant news to share with you, especially those of you in and around New York City. Buffy Prom will be held the weekend of April 17th and 18th in New York, and we will be there.
That's right. Brittany and I are flying to New York to join Kristen and Jenny for prom night at Brooklyn's Bell House on Saturday, April 18th. The Buffering live taping on Friday the 17th is sold out, but there are still a limited number of tickets left for Saturday's party. You can snatch those last tickets up now at bufferingthevampireslayer.com/prom.
And since we're making this announcement to Angel on Top fans a little late and there may not be enough tickets left for everyone who wants to join us on the prom dance floor, we are holding a prom giveaway. 2 lucky Angel on Top fans will win tickets to prom for themselves and their plus one. That's 4 tickets total that are yours for the taking.
While we wish the giveaway could also include airfare and lodging, we're not quite that baller yet. But if you want to come to New York or already live there and want a chance at free Buffy prom tickets, here's how to enter the giveaway. Simply go to Angel on Top's Instagram account @AngelOnTopCast, click follow if you've not done so already, and leave a comment on the prom photo we posted today of me and Brittany posing with Jenny and Kristen at 2018's Buffy Prom in Los Angeles.
We will announce the winners on our next episode for Blood Money, which drops on March 11th.
Speaking of dates in March, 1 week after we announce the prom giveaway winners, on March 18th, our newest Angel on Pot episode will drop for our patrons at any level. We got a little distracted when we were trying to talk about Buffy Season 1, Episode 7, Angel last time, so we will consume some recreationally legal weed and finish what we started.
Welcome back to Angel on Top, a podcast where we watch and discuss every episode of Angel one by one, spoiler-free, and in tandem with Buffering the Vampire Slayer. I'm Brittany Ashley.
And I'm Laura Zach, and this week we're watching Redefinition. Stick around until the end for an original poem written by us through the perspective of Angel.
Redefinition was written by Mir Smith and directed by Michael Grossman. It aired on January 16th, 2001.
This is the one where after firing Cordelia, Gunn, and Wesley, Angel trains for a showdown with Dar-silla and Dar-silla while the others decide what to do with their lives.
It's also the one where Dar-silla and Dar-silla meet a new Angel, and in the words of Dar-silla, he's all gone! Hello.
Brittany, first of all, welcome back from Europe.
Thank you so much. And also, this is just like a re-entrance into the world because I've been in my bed the last 3 days.
Yeah, Brittany went to Europe for 10 days and
all I got was the stomach flu.
Yeah, like some sort of karmic redistribution you had to pay.
Wow.
I don't really think that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful. I went to Paris, Lisbon, and London. I actually took a picture in a castle in London, in the Tower of London, of a crossbow that I will post to the Angel on Top Instagram, because it was very much a crossover.
Should we start an Angel on Pot Finsta?
Whoa.
That's just Angel on Pot content just for our patrons.
That's a great idea.
I agree. So Redefinition feels like the finale of a triad of episodes we've just seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really intense. Sorry, I just noticed that you have a musk candle on your desk, and that's extremely butch. Well done.
Wait, you're looking at my amber musk?
Hey, babe, you want to smell some musk? Let me just torch this up real quick.
Yeah, it's right next to the tobacco leather.
But yeah, this was quite a sode.
First of all, this is an episode where Angel doesn't speak in dialogue at all. He's all in voiceover.
Not once?
Not once.
Oh,
he
I didn't notice
speak to anyone.
Wow. So it's sort of like jumping ahead, obviously. The new identity that he's taken on exists just in his head.
Yeah, it's like post-verbal.
We start with Team Angel essentially in post-firing shock.
Yeah, being fired out of nowhere, can't possibly relate. Having the rug ripped out from underneath you and having your creative expression, financial stability, and health insurance taken away because of a man's mood swing. No similarities here, people.
For any of you who are newer to knowing Brittany Ashley and her path, this is a BuzzFeed reference. What was that? 2013? 2014?
That was like 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's good that you don't have the date just like ready in your memory.
June 2015.
But we are jumping in with the Angel Investigations team. This is one of those episodes that, it truly was a to be continued. Like we start the second that the previous one ended. They do not know what to do with themselves, and they're pretty quickly taking it out on each other. Gunn is kind of taking this. He's a little bit, I think, in the denial or anger stage of grief, where he's like, yeah, whatever. I didn't need this job anyway. No skin off my nose.
Yeah, he was like, this was just a freelance gig. I didn't even fill out a 1099. Like, I don't really care all that much. Whereas Cordelia is much more emotional about it. And I kind of get it from Cordelia's perspective, because she gave up on her acting dream, essentially, to do this. And it was more choice than anything. Whereas Wesley, I think he's more just trying to be the leader of the group and try to prove that, like, he could be the new Angel.
Wait. You think that Cordelia is most upset about her acting career right now?
Well, I think that, like, if you're taking into account, like, one, obviously, I'm sure she cares about the money aspect. We know that. Two, she's obviously taking it very personally because Angel was, like, family to her. But three, I mean, if we're just looking at, like, where do we go from here? I think that it's like she's already chosen this path. And I think that, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it plays a factor.
No, I do. I think you're right. And it does definitely play a factor in her economic stability. But I do think, I just think back to how many a rooftop Cordelia has been on with Angel and, like, made some pretty intense declarations about how they are family, how she's going to stake him dead if he ever turns.
Yeah.
And I feel like what this season and especially the last several episodes of this season has done really well has shown, like, a trajectory into, I guess the allegory would be like a mental health decline in a friend, where you start out thinking that there's nothing that you wouldn't be able to weather with your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then what actually happens tests even that. And especially when your friend is, like, setting up a boundary that is actually potentially hurtful to them. Like, saying, like, I know that this is going to harm me and I am choosing it and I need you to stay away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. It also made me curious, because I think we talked about it last episode. It's like, is Angel pushing them away because they won't agree with what he's doing? Or is on some level, is he trying to protect them from Darla and Drusilla, who, if they, continue to stay close to Angel, they would probably kill them?
Yeah, but I think the piece that makes me think it's a little bit more so the former is how hard they're hitting on the head that he's off his path now.
Yeah.
That he's ignoring the powers that be. He doesn't care about anyone else who's in danger, who's coming up in Cordy's visions. Like, it feels like there's something very self-serving. Like, he's choosing to, like, get into bed, so to speak, or do this dance with Drusilla and Darla, that he is trying to kill them, but it's also, like, he's trying to engage with them in a way that's not as cut and dry, like, ethically.
Yeah.
So then we see Angel throw in a bunch of shitty drawings of Darla into the fire. Doesn't need those anymore.
Yeah. Is it a step forward of moving on, or is it foreshadowing?
Oh. Opening credits.
And then we get a workout montage.
Just a self-training montage.
Yeah.
His only motivator is his own voice in his head. And Angel feels like he's not ready yet. He's too soft. He can't fight them. Not yet, but soon.
It's always funny when there's like a training montage of like trying to get more muscle and trying to like have more endurance. But like what he does is just throw a cigarette onto petroleum. Like he didn't need to gain any muscle for that.
But he doesn't know that yet.
All right, I guess.
But no, you're right. Because from the beginning, the through line of this is how Wolfram and Hart, like part of what he disrespects about Wolfram and Hart's approach is how everything they do is so detached. It's like, it's the equivalent of like bombing a nation from the safety of an executive office. Like you don't actually have to
relatable
personally get your hands dirty or see the pain that you are causing.
Right.
At the beginning, he's setting himself out to be different from that. Like, I am going to have to get up close and I am going to do this up close. And that obviously creates like a bigger challenge for him because of his personal investment with Darla. I guess the shift of him actually choosing to do something at a distance at the end is him maybe aligning himself more with Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah, potentially. But then we get to see the carnage that is the Wolfram and Hart wine mixer. And as it stands, it appears as though there's only one survivor at first. It's Lindsay. We see those beautiful eyes pop up in the middle of dead bodies. And he believes that Darla saved him.
And he loves that.
Oh, God.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, he is horny for that.
That's all he wants to talk to the EMT about.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, she saved me.
Yeah, and the EMT is like, yeah, but you need to go to a hospital, sir. But then he is very displeased to learn that there's another survivor, and it's Byla.
Oh, I love that Byla made it too.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to jump ahead a tick, I have evidence to believe that Drusilla saved her for a similar reason Darla saved Lindsay.
Meaning she felt like Lila had feelings for her and therefore could use her?
Well, not like in the exact same regard, but like at some point Drusilla says something like when we'll get to it, it's like,
I like her. She's wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that she was like, ooh, she's going to be my little Lindsay.
And Wes's boo is back.
Yeah, Virginia. Never thought we'd see her again.
Yeah, nothing about her standalone episodes screamed series regular to me, but hey, I'm happy to see her, honestly.
But we also, Wesley is like of the four characters, we don't really ever get to see his life outside of Angel Investigations. Like, I've never seen his apartment, I don't think.
No, and we certainly have never seen him be so just believed in.
Yeah.
Just have someone be like, well, obviously he fired you because Angel's jealous of you.
Isn't it funny to think that, like, some people, like, not saying that Wesley is insufferable by any means, but, like, isn't it funny to think about how there's, like, insufferable people that, like, either we work with or we interface with or who are friends of friends who they have a partner who's just like, babe, no, you are totally right. And, like, supporting them.
Basically, what you just said is, can you believe that people that I find insufferable have someone who loves them?
I'm sick.
No, totally. There's people who you experience some sort of conflict with at work who go home and tell their side of the story to a significant other, and that person's like, yeah, you totally are in the right here.
Yeah. And then I go home to my partner and they're like, you're totally in the right there. And it's just like a cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the truth is somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm. Is it Angel? Is it Angelus? Somewhere in between.
He's all gone. So, yeah, basically Virginia is like, you are amazing. Angel's just jealous. You'll get another job.
Yeah, you were like too good at being Angels, and he couldn't take that.
And Wesley kind of confronts that he doesn't really know how to do anything else other than rogue. Well, not rogue anymore, other than demon hunting with his friends.
I mean, I think he could be a librarian.
Sure. He could be in the research department of any number of industry.
It's a scary reality, I think, especially in your 30s, of like, what if I went off the path of the thing that I've been trying to do since I was in my, since my early 20s? Like, what even would I be qualified for? But like, there is a storyline in Buffy where a character has to get a job that they're like overqualified for, but in a sense, technically aren't, because they've never been in the workforce. And I think that like seeing Wesley or Gunn or Cordelia, who are obviously very skilled in the specific thing, have to enter the workforce in some sort of way. Yeah, it's I think just a scary thing to imagine.
And to your point, he actually is qualified for a ton of jobs. But what he really means when he says he can't do anything else is, I think he's looking for something that gives him the feeling of glory.
Right.
Like he's not qualified for anything else necessarily that's going to make him feel like the best about himself and his capabilities, which usually include some sort of physicality and like
planning,
muscle in combination with strategy and mind.
Yeah.
So we're back to Angel training, and this is where we get the little monologue about him not having the luxury of doing things at a distance. And he, I guess, does enough solo swordplay to feel like he's ready.
Yeah.
So we get a slow walk out of the mansion, and he's still like, I think he feels ready to go like practice his skill, but he's like, I'm not quite on their level yet. He's just going to go, fight a band of vampires and practice his new moves on them.
Yeah. And I guess it makes a lot of sense that the basement of the hotel would have a tunnel to the outside world, but I guess I didn't put that together before.
Me neither. They never spelled it out so clearly for us.
Yeah. But then Lindsay and Lila are back at work, and they are, well, Lila specifically is super nervous because obviously, when you leave the scene of the crime, people overreact and they believe that you're probably guilty in some way. And because they're the only survivors, they believe that everyone they work with is going to be very suspicious of them. And guess who's waiting for them in the office?
Darla and Drew. And it was notable how not that scared Lila and Lindsay were. And I think it's because they realize we are the teacher's pets.
Either Drew or Darla says, like, if we wanted to kill you, we would have.
And then Dar-silla calls Lindsay's eyes cow eyes and moos at him.
She's got cow eyes, big and black, moo. I think that writing her lines would have been so much fun because you'd either just get like super stoned and write down whatever's in your iPhone notes, or you just talk to a baby.
What?
You just talk to like an infant and write down what they say, like their first words.
It's established that Darla basically sees this as an opportunity for them. Like, she has big plans for she and Drew taking over Los Angeles, essentially, and she wants power. She wants to get in with the higher ups at Wolfram and Hart, which now that they've wiped out a bunch of people above them in the hierarchy, I think
they are climbing up that corporate ladder.
Yeah, right up. And they're essentially like, we don't care if your corrupt company kills one of you as long as one of you remains to be our in.
And what about that fucked up scene where Darla tells Lindsay that she saved him because she's in love with him?
Oh.
And then she's like, not.
And then Lila laughs and Darla's like, shut up, Lila. Yeah, that was cold.
That was pretty cold. But then Lindsay brings up I think it comes from a place of jealousy that he's like, oh, you want to go after Angel. And a big thread throughout this episode is Darla basically being like, shut up, not everything's about Angel. But I mean, we believe that because of her reaction, everything is about Angel.
Right, like every other character is trying to get her to fail the Bechdel test, and she's like,
oh my God, I wrote that down too.
No, of
Yes.
course.
Oh
We
my God.
both made a Bechdel test reference in our
Drew
notes.
and Darla's convo where Darla's basically like, hey, can we get this episode to pass the Bechdel test? Please stop talking about Angel.
And
That's
everyone's
amazing.
like, else is like, but Darla, do you miss your boyfriend?
She's like, shut up, I'm talking about business.
I'm trying to take over a city and get a band of roving deems to be my slaves, my muscle slaves. Why are you talking about this boy? So then, in a very misty alley, Angel's brooding alone up above, and a gang of vamps enters the tunnel, and Angel attacks, and this now truly feels like the beginning of really seeing a difference in him this episode, because we've seen him kill plenty of vampires between this show and Buffy, but this has like a different, he doesn't usually just do it for sport.
Yeah, like this felt very like unprovoked. Like, of course, they're vampires and they were talking about eating people who just ate fast food and the effects that it has on them. So it's obvious that like they just drank some peeps. But yeah, but it felt similar to moments where we've seen characters like beat on demons or vampires before killing them and just kind of like taking out their frustrations on this kind of like proxy of their own anger and frustration.
I can't remember exactly the episodes, but I feel like we've seen Buffy do this too.
Yes. It was when she was bad. It was season 2, episode 1, where like when she comes back and she's really angry and nobody understands why, and when she's like smashing the master's bones up.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, it's a very pivotal moment.
And so this episode really needs a little comedic Lorne relief. So we check into the karaoke bar where he is just crushing Lady Marmalade. And we see Wesley order a Bloody Mary from the bar, which hopefully this is like a bar that's open all day, because I don't know. There's something weird to me about like ordering a Bloody Mary at night. But
I could see Wesley doing that, though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's like, have you ever tried these things?
Yes.
Delicious.
They're salty and they're alcoholic. But what's funny about Lorne singing is that like the purpose of people going there to sing is to get information. And so he's just doing it for himself, you know?
He just does it for the joy of it.
Yeah.
And Wesley considers singing Cat Stevens, which strong choice for him.
Yeah.
And then he bumps into Cordelia, and they have kind of like one of those like Western style, like about to draw their pistols. Like, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And we learn she was planning on singing Madonna or
Shania Twain.
Oh, what I wouldn't do to see Charisma Carpenter.
Cameo.
Just
my answer to everything. Cameo.
Is Charisma on Cameo?
Probably.
If not, I bet we are tight enough with her now, or maybe Kristen is, to get us a little Shania Twain cover. Just kidding. We're not going to just, in case you're listening, Charisma, we're not going to just, ask you to do random tasks, because we're really just trying to get you on our pod.
Yeah.
And especially on an episode of Angel on Pod.
Yes.
But that being said, really funny moment. And then Gunn shows up too. They all, have kind of been licking their wounds separately, and I think now are in need of guidance. And then, of course, they're, brought back together by fate, as it were.
Well, they're brought back together by the power of song.
Is Cordelia's hair different again?
Of course it is. There's like this streak in the very front that looks like white.
It's like Anna from Frozen.
Yeah. Well, I don't get that reference, but
someone will.
Yeah, The inconsistencies in her hair is, I can't imagine how maddening it was for everyone involved. So then Angel is pumping this guy Merle for information, but he doesn't actually have to say anything at all because he has this like pulley system where he's just like dumping his head into water and just having a little fun drowning him. And Merle has a fun line where he's like, Godzilla, Dar-silla, I don't know. But he knows that they are looking to start a crew, which honestly, I would love to be a part of that crew. Imagine being part of the Darla and Drusilla crew.
Just have them like top the shit out of you and boss you around.
Yeah.
And just call you like
pet. So Merle tells Angel that in order to find the muscle for their crew, that Darla and Drusilla are going to this like demon fight club to find who they're looking for. And I mean, I think we just got to talk about it. Did you see that guy's hair? The guy who won? The guy who had like dry ramen noodle hair?
Wait, no.
And the demon fight club?
But basically Darla and Drew come marching in and are like, woof, a victimless crime, not into it.
Drew rips off a guy's ears.
Yeah, because he hadn't heard of her. To which I say,
Drusilla, you fill my heart with dread, and still I'm led right back to you.
But I am impressed that, you know, two women are entering into this very masculine space. And only one guy really doesn't give their full attention. Like the rest of the guys are like, we're listening. But also we saw you rip that guy's ears off.
Well, what else could they do? There are these two like total babes who come in that revel in devastation and malevolent joy. I mean,
that's a Tinder bio.
That'll capture your attention. Toot sweet. And Drusilla senses Angel.
Yeah,
and
Angel's there in vamp face and a hoodie, which as we know is a disguise. And yeah, I was actually surprised that Darla and Drew didn't like smell him earlier. But you're right, Drusilla like feels that he's there. When
eyes like needles. You'll never be alone again.
And fun fact, this echoes what human Drusilla said about Angelus in Dear Boy shortly before she was turned. Eyes like needles.
Oh, that's what it's from. And then this is the first moment that we hear Darla say Angel in a very human way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, despite the fact that she's looking for demons to help her with her malevolent joy, she still has that longing in her.
I think she's still got that humanity in her.
And I think that's maybe even fueling her evil because she's trying to overcompensate for this residual symptom.
Totally.
Then Drusilla goes on to be like, he thinks we've been naughty. He remembers when you were warm. And then Darla's like, shut up.
Yeah.
And then gets it together enough to, because again, like, they're having this whole conversation in front of this entire crowd of demons whose attention they got just before this. And essentially she's just like, okay, whatever. Auditions are tonight. Be there or be square. Losers.
But not before. Okay, big question. Have you ever put like a business card or like a piece of paper in or money like in your bra? Like I felt like there was like a time when that happened. And
I've
I
only
feel like
seen that on TV.
Yeah, I think that either on TV or the year 2001 was the only time that happened. But I was like, when Darla did it.
You were like, what? Oh. And I think it was that Angel line of Darla's, but Angel realizes, JK, I'm not ready.
Yes.
I'm too close. I still feel her. I still feel her pain, her need, and her hope. And I'm too close to fight her, which is juxtaposed with this whole, you know, setup of like, I need to be close to kill them versus Wolfram and Hart's distance.
Yeah. And it's clear that Darla and Angel's kind of feelings about each other and not being able to take the other one down just yet is mirrored in each other. And as Lindsay is getting ready to leave for the night, Lila with her little sling comes in all sad-faced, and she is lamenting again about how she's nervous that either her or Lindsay will get killed, and she thinks that they need to team up. And so she's like, I have this plan, like we could steal the files. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, we'll like steal some files. That'll save us.
But you know what? You don't even have to worry about stealing the files. I'm going to steal the files. You just tell me which files that you want me, Lila, to take. And
be sure to say your name is Lindsay.
And then there's this moment where, again, there's always been this kind of on-again, off-again charge between them. And it looks like they're about to kiss. And Lindsay caresses her décolletage. But instead of kissing her,
What a fancy word for tit.
He pulls out a bug. He knew. She was recording him.
Yeah.
And trying to expose him as like a betrayer of the company. And he, again, like he's kind of, and this is a carryover from the previous episode where he was like basically talking about how he's not afraid of death anymore.
Yeah, he's untouchable.
Yeah. He was just sort of like, you need to catch up with where I am and take it like a man.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about like what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Angel Investigations team is still at the bar, and now they're drunk, fighting, and they are being too messy for my taste.
But I will say there were moments of Cordelia being drunk that was very entertaining. Like the line reading of, "Where do I stick my axe?" deserved an Emmy nomination, at least Nobel Peace Prize at most. And it made absolutely no sense. And that's what I loved.
Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
But yeah, they're all blaming it on each other. They believe that Wesley shamed Angel into firing them. They believe that Gunn doesn't take orders, and that's why Angel fired them. And then the dumbest reason was they're like, Cordelia, you didn't have enough visions. Where it's like, she can't fucking control that.
Their drunk fighting escalates into a moment of them collaborating on We Are the Champions karaoke.
Yeah. See, Angel got its musical episode. But they shut this place down.
They've been there so long that they are already hungover. Like, they're not even drunk anymore. They have fully sobered up and then become hungover without ever seeing the light of day.
That happens when you day drink for sure. So it's very possible that this was during the day.
So that's one point toward the Bloody Mary being at the appropriate hour.
You know what sounds absolutely horrible when you have an incoming hangover?
A vision.
Yeah.
I did like the setup of this vision where Lauren basically denies them any insight. They're basically like, okay, Lauren, we sang. Now tell us what to do with our lives. And he like very elaborately and theatrically like prepares his coat for Cordy and is like, well, actually, when the big guys talk, I shut my yap and they're about to get real chatty. And then puts his coat behind her head to support her as she flails back, which, what a sweetheart.
I know. Wouldn't it be amazing if Lauren was always around to help with like the pre-vision vision?
Ugh, if Lauren, Cordelia, and Ghost Dennis all lived together, Cordelia would get all of her needs met.
Oh my God.
Right? What? I would love to watch that show.
Yeah.
Just the buddy comedy between the three of them.
Three's Company.
And I feel like Lauren and Cordelia would do a lot of like practicing for auditions together.
Totally. But of course, Lauren would get typecast all the time.
Always the villain. Never the love interest.
Oh.
I hate that for him. Cordelia gets a mega vision here of a woman being attacked by, you know, a demon. Surprise. She says it's not far from there. And the three of them are like, okay, let's go. They just click back in.
They sober up.
Yeah, they sober right the fuck up. And Angel, meanwhile, is putting on little like wrist weapons and trying. I don't know what he's doing right here.
Yeah, me neither.
But he does ignore a ringing telephone, which we are assuming is from the team. So even though he couldn't kill Dar-silla yet, he is still very much
ignoring
his path.
Yeah. And the trio gets to the alleyway. Gunn and Cordelia are basically kind of like lamenting about how much better it would be if Angel was there, and they feel kind of lost without him. And Wesley takes control and is like, okay, no, we have done this before. We can do this. And then they enter this abandoned building and they find that 3-inch teeth demon who can crawl up walls and shit.
He was real scary. That's a tough one for your first day on the job without Big Boss.
Yeah, and getting bit by this demon. Ugh.
Yeah, he takes a big chunk out of Wesley's shoulder.
But Gunn comes to the rescue with a good old head stab. And the girl is saved. They're going to take her to the hospital. Wesley's probably going to go too. But they, even though, you know, there's a big chunk missing out of Wesley's shoulder, they did this. Like, they did it without Angel. It's proof that even though Angel wasn't there, they still are able to, like, maneuver this path somehow.
And I liked that last line that Cordelia has where they're all kind of talking about how they almost died and they need to get to a hospital and they're going to pass out. And then Cordelia is like, yeah, but out of everybody here, which one of us is the dead one?
Yeah.
Which is a very fair point.
Glass
Miss
hustle.
Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Dar-silla and Dar-silla coming out of another bar having done a killing. And Dar-silla's like, all right, I guess we should go get to that factory for the auditions for our muscle army. Again, Dar-silla's like, quick cue. Have you been thinking of Angel lately? Notice you haven't talked about Angel. So any chance you miss him like a heartbeat? And Dar-silla's like, ugh, I don't miss my heartbeat. It was a symptom of a disease. And in a perfect world, Angel would be here helping me burn the city to the ground. And then she makes an interesting comment, which is, this is his job I'm doing. Which I didn't love that.
Yeah. Will she...
Own your evil, girl. You can do this on your own.
Right.
You enjoy this just as much as him. You don't need him. P.S. You were doing this shit long before you ever sired him. You made him.
Yeah.
This has always been your job.
Yeah, don't let a man stake his claim on your job.
And Dar-silla enters into this sort of fantasy speak, which I think, again, is foreshadowing because she's speaking about fire and pain and screaming. And Darla's just like, WTF. There's like a really good Dar-silla face while Dar-silla's on one. And it's a very sort of like, it felt like a very contemporary expression.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very like I could see Julie Benz in that moment, like playing a mean girl.
Yeah. Like playing Marcy from Jawbreaker in that moment.
Absolutely.
And then I really liked the conversation that they had about Lindsay and Lila, where obviously we've seen like how smug Lindsay's been about how much Darla cares for him, but Darla's basically like, Lindsay and Lila are children. They just follow orders, and they have no idea what's in store for them, and they have no idea what's in store for what the higher ups at Wolfram and Hart want to do to Angel. Like, they're basically just our pawns.
And do we get the sense that Darla knows the plan for Angel?
I think we get the sense that she knows more than Lindsay and Lila do.
Right. So before we get a whiff of that motor oil, dank and dark and reeks of death, shall we have a little fuck watch?
That's the way I like to describe my sex. No, take it back.
Nope, that's staying in.
No!
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuck watch.
Would you like to go first, Brittany?
I'd love to. So, I don't believe I've chosen this person. I think I made a very conceited effort to not pick this person yet. But, you know, I'm kind of hearkening back to like 2010 me, who was really into someone with a hard exterior, who was like 98% evil, but had like slight moments of vulnerability. And, you know, I just think I really got to go with Darla on this one.
You really haven't picked her?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
But also, so the reason that I picked her in this episode is because in this episode, I think that she has her agency the most. I think that she's really stepped into a leadership position. She knows exactly what she wants. She's basically like bossing around Dar-silla the whole time when it felt kind of flip-flopped before. I think if this was 5 years ago, we'd call her a girl boss. But since it is not 2015, we will not be calling her that.
And hopefully 5 years from now, we'll just call her a boss.
You know, she was just really captivating this episode. Like, it was clear that she is taking on this like huge mission to distract herself from the humanity that she's trying to shove down, because she does want to be good, but she doesn't know how to be. And that's just too painful.
And you want to be the bridge.
Yeah, I'd like to be that bridge to Terabithia. Terabithia.
Let me know when you're done.
Britannia.
Well, it sounds like you and I are going to be going on some double dates because my choice was Dar-silla.
Dar-silla, you fill my heart with dread, and still I'm led right back to you.
And not because she was the beta to Darla's alpha at all, but because despite how much Darla was not truly hearing her, she was the one who was the most emotionally tuned in and the most intuitive. And really, like, I don't know, time doesn't move linearly for Dar-silla. And I just think that we could have a really wild time.
I love the I think it was the quote from last episode that she doesn't retain information in a traditional way.
It's true. I think she's leaps and bounds ahead of us. Yeah. You know, it'll be cute. Our girls are out like ravaging Los Angeles, and then they come home for some Netflix and chill.
Oh.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuck watch.
That's really cute that we picked the two of them. But this is the second episode in a row with this really intense build up to this climactic final scene. This one starts with Dar-silla and Darla approaching this factory, and they smell motor oil. And we already know that Angel has gone to this place with his weapons bared, so we assume he's going to like participate in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
But when the two women go to open the door, Dar-silla again senses something. I'm not sure exactly how it literally translates because she's just like 10 little soldiers all in a line. And they walk into another massacre that echoes the massacre that we saw at the end of last episode and the beginning of this episode.
Dead already? Bad soldiers.
Everyone is dead. And we, as an audience, quickly understand that Angel went in there and made quick work of all of the competition. And Darla's like, who? And then looks, and who's leaning against some sort of Cadillac. I don't know if it's a Cadillac, but it just felt right.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette. Never seen him smoke a cigarette before. Is Angel. Just looking especially broody, making this really intense eye contact
He's
with
got
Darla.
like dirt on his face and shit.
He's like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Darla smiles because she thinks that, they're about to be back on their same old bullshit. She thinks that this is Angel. And only Dar-silla knows right away something's up because immediately Dar-silla says, a shadow. But Darla thinks it's Angel and is like, why so far away, my love? Why don't you come over here and stake me? And then he doesn't respond. And there's a hint of concern for Darla. And she's like, Angel? And then no response. And then she's like, Angelus?
Nope.
What happens, Brittany?
Well, then he flicks that little cigarette butt onto the floor where there is a line of petroleum that is leading right to where the ladies' little bootsies are. And the fire reaches Darla and Dar-silla very quickly. It's surprising that they couldn't run and get further away. But then Darla and Dar-silla run out. Darla has the good sense while they're on fire to grab an axe and hit the fire hydrant to get water and to ale their burns. But yeah, they're very badly burnt. And Darla says that wasn't Angel. So basically this version of
And it wasn't Angelus.
Yes, and it wasn't Angelus. So like this version is neither version of him that we've seen. He's existing somewhere else.
And in some ways, I think the implication is that who he is now is darker than even Angelus.
Yeah, because it's like he has a soul, yet he is doing bad things.
And he has absolutely no allegiance to this person who was, the longest love of his life.
Yeah, and he has no allegiance to like the powers that be. He has no allegiance to anyone at all, and it's kind of confusing what he does want or what he's going to do. It's chaos.
It was sweet too, I thought, like in that really awful moment where their skin is burning off. I did not like to see our girls like that.
No.
I really hated that moment, but it was a little surprising, honestly, and sweet how caring of Dar-silla Darla was in that moment. She was like, shh, baby, like calling her baby and like comforting her. And yeah, it was a really tough moment. And I know that they aren't humans, but they felt very human in that moment.
Yeah, well, their relationship with Angel up until this point has been like a bit more playful. And I think that this was maybe the first time that they realized like, oh, who we want no longer exists or is not coming back into our lives. Like the past is never going to happen again of the three of us.
And I guess it's yet to be seen, if they leave, but I believe that they leave Los Angeles because, so actually your sister pointed this out, but then on Buffy, Dar-silla goes back and references that Angel burned her in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
So,
Heather.
Yeah. P.S. Brittany's sister, if you think Brittany knows like the intricacies of every season of Buffy, Brittany's sister even more so. I might
know.
Say. It's wild. And it's very convenient to now be living with her. To just be like, hey, so I'm doing this episode of Angel, and she immediately just gives me fun facts that she just knows.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We should have her on as a guest one episode.
People would not be able to tell our voices apart from each other, but I'm down.
Would you be down to have some sort of like competition with her?
I'd be down.
Do you think you'd definitely lose, or you think you stand a chance?
I think if it was about Buffy, I could win. If it was about Angel, I would lose.
All right.
Now we're back at Wolfram and Hart, and Now with Holland dead, there's some other head honcho who's sizing up Lila and Lindsay's potential promotion. They're under the impression, and we're under the impression, that only one of them will be chosen to take the place of Holland. But this honcho is like, you guys keep each other on your toes. You're competitive. And I like that, which is why you're going to be co-presidents for now until we eventually narrow it down to one of you. And so, though we're not totally certain if Lila was being at all truthful with her stress about like one of them being taken out, that stress is now just going to be continued because
forever.
Because one of them will eventually go.
And he alludes to the senior partners and says the senior partners are watching you. And I think we've heard allusions to the senior partners before, but I think Holland we always thought of as the big boss because he was always kind of presented that way. But now there's like strong evidence that there is some larger force at play kind of dictating what happens at Wolfram and Hart. And I think, just a guess, that might be a factor in this season.
Oh. And then back in Angel's basement, Wesley comes down to let Angel know that they are going to keep the agency open, even without his help. And he says that that they're not going to turn their backs on the mission. And he says someone has to fight the good fight, which is the Angel Doyle sentiment, which I think maybe gets to Angel for a quick little beat.
It does. He tries to shoot that dart, and it only makes it to the edge of the dartboard.
Loser.
But then he gets his shit together, and in VO, he says,
someone has to fight the war.
Let them fight the good fight.
Someone has to fight the war.
And then, what? Bam! Back in the bullseye, baby.
It's all so vague, Like, what's going to happen? What's, like, bigger that's going to happen? Do they know? Do we know? Does anyone know? I guess we'll find out.
I feel like the energy of Wesley's confrontation of Angel in this scene very much felt like, so just, even though you say that you don't love me anymore, I still love you, okay? You can't change that I still love you. I know right now you're clouded and you think that we're not going to work, but I'm fighting for us, boo.
I kind of saw it as like, I know that like you guys just broke up, but like, I think I'm going to date her. Yeah, because like, I think that like you made it very clear that you don't want to date her anymore. And so I'm going to date her.
And we really get along, which makes sense because you like both of us, but we also really like each other.
So if you really cared about the good fight, you would let us date.
We cracked that scene wide open.
Wow.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Angel on Top. I'm Laura Zach, and you can find me on Instagram at Laura Zach or Twitter at @la_wa.
And I'm Brittany Ashley, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Brit27Ash.
You can also follow Angel on Top on Instagram and Twitter at Angel on Top Cast. Just a reminder, if you want to enter our giveaway to try to win prom tickets for April in Brooklyn, please do follow our Instagram account and comment on the prom photo. And you're also welcome to email us at angelontoppodcast, all one word, @gmail.com.
And now, please enjoy the poem for Redefinition from Angel's perspective, even though he does not speak once. Redefinition. After massive layoffs at Angel Investigations, my mission is yet again a solo operation. When they shamed me with their mass hysteria, I knew they wouldn't understand morality's gray area. Before I can face them, I need to handle my weakness. You know what that means. Shirtless training sequence. Pull-ups, push-ups, throwing punches, hearty stretches, but most important of all, burning my Dar-silla sketches. Now it's time for a little hands-on preparation, off to the sewers to take out pent-up frustration. I almost feel bad. These vamps just finished dinner. With weapons in tow, it's not too long before I'm winner. I didn't even have to say a syllable for Merle to disclose Darla information. Maybe it was my tough demeanor. Maybe it was the asphyxiation. Incognito at Demon Fight Club, my hood prevents a public outing. Darla and Drew show up with a plan. For an army they plan on scouting. But when I get too close, I bail. I can still feel Darla's potential. I won't be ready to fight her till her soul's no longer influential. I'll have to keep my distance, a factory's length to be exact. Fire, it's not the most creative, but it'll do for the first attack.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't you love it when you find a new podcast you really like? Well, let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm Mike Carruthers, the host, and in every episode, you'll hear fascinating information that will make your life better from top experts. Recently, we've done episodes on why you have the personality you do, the science of luck, and the psychology of a restaurant menu. You're going to like Something You Should Know. We have literally thousands of 5-star reviews. Look for Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts.